Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my co-host, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. And today we got a lot to cover. NFL draft went down. Some trades happened. But the biggest thing is the draft in the NFL. We'll go over some of the bigger winners as well. We probably not go over the losers because, you can't really say who's a loser at the draft until you see who plays. But moving on
Yeah, who
and then into
knows?
the NBA. Moving on to the NBA, we'll give an update on where each playoff series is currently at right now. This is being recorded on the 28th of August of April, but this will come out on the 29th. And then I'll give your weekly standings update in the MLB, as well as some news in the MLB and some Formula One news as it is race week. To start us off, obviously, first overall pick in the draft, Fernando Mendoza. Raider fans were happy. He looked excited. Obviously, that made the Raiders an automatic winner of the draft. I mean, when you have the number one overall pick, you're kind of automatically a winner of the draft. Even though the year before you sucked like the most, you're automatic winner. You have the first round of
Right.
first pick of every round. Although the Raiders didn't, because they had like a three-way tie. Not three-way tie, but they had the same record as a few other teams, so they rotated like the top three picks of each round, except the first overall pick. So yeah, Raiders they adjust a lot. They adjust a lot of defense. They went obviously Fernando Mendoza, then they went safety, defensive end. They went offensive interior offensive lineman slash tackle. But they also got a steal. They drafted Jamon McCoy, a cornerback out of Tennessee, in the fourth round. They traded up to get him, and this was the guy's first. He was a first round talent, but a lot of concerns over his knee injuries, and he slid all the way to the fourth round. Raiders said, "Hey, we'll take a chance." And they went out and they drafted him. So it was a big steal for the Raiders. It's just, is he going to have a surgery on his knee? Is he going to play? He looks healthy. He says he's healthy, but it's up to the Raiders to see what they want to do with his knee. But yeah, Raiders, one of the teams to have a top draft. But in that draft, they ended up trading former first round pick Tyree Wilson to the Saints. They traded him to the Saints. Saints declined his fifth-year option to give him a one-year trial. He said he's excited for the new scenery. That pick back in 23 just was a little bit of a reach. Obviously, he was explosive in college. Was supposed to sit behind Chandler Jones and heal up his then injured foot. That didn't happen, and he just didn't look like the player they drafted out of college, and they moved on from him. So John Spytek, Clint Kubiak, they're already making they're cleaning, not cleaning, they're cleaning house, but also rebuilding up that defense.
Yeah, rebuilding and hopefully for the better. And I mean, being a Raider fan, you just there's a lot of optimism. I think we mentioned it before. We actually felt, at least I felt good going into the off season, going into the draft, and just excited to see that product on the field with Kubiak and his staff. They're making moves, like you said. They've already have a young talent on the squad, and having, according to ESPN, having an A grade draft, taking a little gamble with McCoy, but it could be a win-win there. I mean, McCoy's going to be upset for being doubted and being dropping all the way to the fourth, and could be a solid pickup for the Raiders, especially that they need that on the defensive side. It looks like they addressed a lot of concerns through the draft. So I like it. I like what was done.
Yeah, some other teams that just a lot during the draft, and they were both winners, according to CBS. It's the Browns and the Jets. Browns, they had the ninth overall pick. They drafted Spencer Fano, um, in the first round. They got offensive tackle. They were dealing with some injuries on that line. Um, they drafted Casey Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M with the 24th pick of the draft, as well as Denzel Washington, wide receiver out of Washington. So they did a lot on both sides of the ball. They were the number one winner in this CBS article. At two, they had the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know how I felt about that. They traded up for Mansour Delane, who is he's a great corner. He's a great player, but they didn't need to trade up for him. And so for me, I just felt like they didn't really need to make that trade, but they still did. They got him and Peter Woods in the first round. Some defensive. They got a lot of defense in this draft, a little bit of offense. They drafted Garrett Newsmeyer. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Quarterback at LSU, and yeah, and then I had the Raiders at three. Obviously, right? We just talked about them, and then the Jets at four. Now the Jets they drafted David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech with the second overall pick, and Kenyon Sadiq, tight end whose stock just skyrocketed after his draft combine, and they also got Amari Cooper Jr. out of Indiana, and as well as D'Angelo Pons, the cornerback out of Indiana. So the Jets took some national champs in this draft to hopefully end their long years of suffering.
I was gonna say those teams you mentioned, Jets and Browns, getting A pluses, A minus, whatever it is. That's the first I've heard. Maybe they've had some other draft combines that where they got high grades, but now there's like again that optimism where they're they like what they've done, and I want to say all three teams just changing things up, right? They got young coaches, new coaches, in some teams, and um, just starting with the draft, and yeah, we can't wait to see it all on the field. Because I mean, this is kind of like when you look at it, you have your draft board, you're going through everything, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you got to get on that field, stay healthy, and produce. I mean, this is how you build a team, and hopefully for the Raiders, anyways, that's what they're leaning towards.
Yeah, it's tough, right? We could grade and say how great these drafts are, but you can't really know until like probably a few years after the draft and how the players are playing.
I
But
like
no, a
those
lot of
instant. Yeah, go ahead. No, I was gonna say real quick. I like those. I don't know if you've seen those Instagram things where they say, where Raiders drafting throughout the years, the next pick over, like they could have had an all-decade team like
yeah.
throughout the years of passing on Calvin Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald, or you know what I mean. It's just funny to see that. It's like we just don't know. I mean, they're doing their homework. We hope. And selecting the right best person for the at that time.
Yeah, no, yeah. Raiders drafts these past, I'd say, 3 years have been a lot better than the previous 10. But yeah, no, they've been doing good. Some trades went down in the draft. The Cowboys acquired linebacker D. Winters from the 49ers. The Cowboys traded Osa, I forget his last name, but they traded the defensive tackle to the Niners. Vikings traded pass rusher Jonathan Greenard to the Eagles for multiple draft picks. Eagles then extended Greenard to a deal. Other news. Jaden Reed agrees to a 3-year contract extension with the Packers. And then more of the draft. Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, great player, but he went third overall. It's kind of a reach, right? I mean, I know Genti was drafted or not third overall, sixth overall last year.
Mhm.
And then years before that, Bijan was the top pick. But just third overall, to me, that's really high, right? He's the highest paid running back. He's getting a lot of guaranteed money, and for a team like the Cardinals, that obviously, yeah, they needed a running back. But just to take him at 3, I felt like they maybe could have traded back with someone or drafted something else. But I just like I said, Jeremiah Love's a great player, but him getting picked at 3, it's just tough to like agree with the pick.
This is what I mean about the gambling part, right? It's like Arizona, they're gonna have mixed reviews on their picks, just like probably every team, except the ones that they feel aced the test, I guess. And yeah, you won't really know until he slaps those pads on. I mean, again, they're interviewing these players, so they're doing homework on them. They're watching the combine and all that stuff. So for Arizona's sake, hopefully they got themselves a good running back there and that as a third pick.
Yeah, and a lot of people, another team in the NFC West, a lot of people are making not fun of, but they're kind of like questioning the draft. It's the Niners, 49ers. We all know John Lynch, he's a great GM. He's made a lot of great moves over the years, but drafting as of recent has not been so great for him. I believe every pick in the draft, people have called has been a reach. It even happened last year that every pick that they use is a reach. And when asked that question, both Shanahan and I believe Lynch said they don't have like a consensus board, right? They don't have like the top 100 players. They just go off. They don't go off other people's ratings. They go off their own ratings, and that's how they do their drafts. But yeah, their drafts they always look like a reach. And yeah, as of recent, those players that they drafted haven't really had the biggest impact, but
Yeah,
they're winning games, so you can't really say much.
that's what I was just about to say. I mean, they according to ESPN, they have a C grade here, and yeah, there was a lot of a lot of talk about their draft picks and whatnot, but Yeah, they're winning games. They're still competitive. They're in the hunt for the West every single year. It seems like ever since Shanahan was the coach there, and critique all you want. We'll if they end up going 4 and whatever, then you could go back. We come back and criticize the draft picks and the youth and which they do all the time, right? It's sports talk, so it's just something to talk about all the time, but. Yeah, maybe they have themselves a Mr. Irrelevant there or something. Who knows?
Yeah, well hopefully, yeah, maybe. But before we move on from the NFL, some quarterback news. We'll start off with the Steelers. They tender unrestricted free agent Aaron Rodgers, giving them more control over the QB's future. And so it's a tender that it gives him the opportunity to accept a 10% raise from his 2025 salary, which was 13 point, let's say 7 million. The tender also grants the Steelers free agent compensation in the form of a 2027 pick if the veteran quarterback chooses to sign elsewhere. Um, and so obviously Rodgers, hasn't had to make a decision yet. Steelers, they did draft Drew Alar in the draft. They drafted Will Howard last year, but obviously those are two guys that haven't played um, in the league. They're still rookies. And so obviously you like to keep a future Hall of Famer on the roster if you can. But yeah, I don't know. Rodgers might be in a dark retreat right now, and he might not. He might be MIA. So we won't. Who knows what his plans are? Um, but I don't know. I don't know if he'll reunite with Mike McCarthy.
You like bringing this guy up. I swear, we always talk about Aaron Rodgers. It's over with. It's done. Like I just can't believe these teams are just still waiting around for him. I know Hall of Fame quarterback, and he's getting up there in age and all that stuff. But I mean, at a certain point, just move on. Like you said, I do notice that they drafted a quarterback in the third round, and obviously, I know that's probably not their go to when it comes to Steelers. When you hear Steelers, you hear playoffs. So I'm not sure, or you think of playoffs like consecutively. Not sure if the young quarterbacks are going to take you there. So that's probably why they're still holding on. But we saw the McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers duo before. It's both have moved on since, and I think the Steelers should too. So again, we'll have to wait on the news to see whenever Aaron Rodgers is feeling good, like he wants to return.
Yeah, and for the next quarterback, we won't talk too much about him because he already gets a lot of talk about him. But it's Diego Pavia, the
Oh,
Heisman finalist. Heisman finalist goes
yeah.
undrafted. He went undrafted. I mean, it's the first time since 2013 since a Heisman finalist
Wow.
went undrafted. He does end up signing a deal with the Ravens. He was originally supposed to get a just a mini camp invite, but they're giving him a 3-year deal supposedly.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. However, he would be the third quarterback on that team, so we won't talk too much about him just because like I said, a lot of talk around him, and yeah, if you have any thoughts, you could let me know.
No, that's what it is. Is it's just talk, and it looks like again with the homework and the preparation of all the teams do. I mean, he passed multiple rounds of the draft, so something is going on there that teams wanted to stay away from, and teams have made it clear throughout the draft process that if there's something they don't like, they're just gonna pass on them and fill other needs and some people they just didn't feel Pavia has had it in him or didn't like his work ethic or just I don't know the way he was talking or what
Yeah,
bringing his brothers to the meetings. I don't know, but so yeah, it's all on his shoulders now. At least he got a shot here with the Ravens and maybe he can learn.
yeah, he
Build a
could.
little career there,
Yeah,
so we'll see.
yeah, he could definitely try to win the backup job from Tyler Huntley. I don't think will happen. It'll probably be just the emergency quarterback, if that. But yeah. But moving on to the last quarterback I want to talk about, and it was this when I saw the pick happen, I was shocked. The Rams drafted quarterback Ty Simpson out of Alabama with the 13th overall pick. And for me, it was a head scratcher because you have MVP Matthew Stafford, right? It's the first time I said that.
Mhm.
MVP Matthew Stafford. I know he's heading towards the end of his career, but he just won MVP at what age? 37, 38? I don't know. Might be younger than that. But he still has couple, at least 3 years left in him. And I know everyone's thinking, oh, doing the Jordan Love thing. And I get that, but I don't know. It just to me when the Packers drafted Jordan Love, he was like the 29th pick, right? This was the 13th overall pick. The Rams were a play away from the Super Bowl last year. And so for them to spend their first round pick on a quarterback, it kind of was a head scratcher to me. Just because I felt like next year's draft class of quarterbacks, it's got more depth to it. They could probably take someone else second round, maybe third round. So it was just a little confusing to me. But apparently he knew he was going there. He had a secret meeting with Sean McVay, so guess it's part of his plan.
Yeah, he interviewed well with them apparently, and they went ahead and took him high in the draft, and yeah, eventually, it's now whether it's next year. I think the Rams feel good about their team, feel that they should have been in the in the Super Bowl, and as long as McVay's the coach, they're going to be fighting for that title, I mean, I don't completely hate it. Like I said, you need a quarterback for the future sometime. And who was their backup? Garoppolo. I don't think he's gonna.
He's not on the team. I don't think
he's not gonna be the one. Yeah, so they're making room for Ty Simpson, and like I said, he must have. They liked what they heard from him, and it could be like you mentioned the whole Jordan Love thing. It could have been Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That was the thing too. They had Brett Favre, but they drafted Aaron Rodgers. So in that case too, Aaron Rodgers dropped quite a bit to where the Packers ended up picking him up. But I mean, I don't completely hate it. I think it's he gets to learn from a MVP, Hall of Famer type quarterback. So that could just be a good thing for him in his situation.
Yeah, and I almost forgot to just throw this out there, but before we move on from football, John Gruden, man, love that guy when he was coaching the Raiders the first time around, not the second time. Just that dude just loves football. Should be coaching, obviously not, but yeah, miss that guy in the NFL. He's a different energy to the league. But moving on to the NBA, we're gonna give you an update on the playoffs, starting with a series that's already over. And that's the Thunder and the Suns. Thunder to complete the 4-game sweep over the Suns with the 131-122 win to close it out. We all knew this was happening. Suns stood no chance. We talked about it last week. We thought the Warriors, had they won the play-in game, had a better chance to give the Thunder a run for their money. But Suns, they took their play-in win. Jalen Green played his legacy game, and then they forgot how to play basketball.
And then that was it.
Yeah, it was done. Done before you could blink your eye. Other updates today. We'll go over today. 76ers Celtics. Not the Celtics. 76ers. They stay alive. The Celtics go up 3-1 heading into today's game. But Joel Embiid, who returned last game for Game 4, he dropped 33 points today, and he led the Sixers to a win, keep them alive. They send the series back to Philly for Game 6, and we both said this. We probably think that the Celtics were going to win 6, so that's still alive. But yeah, Game 6 is a couple days from now. It's on Thursday, so when you see this, it'll be tomorrow. But the Celtics, they got to close it out because, with the Joel Embiid back and if VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey want to keep putting up 30 bombs, it's going to be a tough task for the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, I think the only one I have right so far is Suns and Thunder. I put sweep, and the rest of them are just, a little bit screwy here. But for the Celtics, I have the Celtics winning in 6. So I mean, hey, we can get that right. But yeah, I agree with you. Those that backcourt of Maxey, Paul George could get on fire, and the rookie there, Edgecombe. That's going to be hard to beat. I mean, once they're on it, and we're seeing that a lot. Like we say with the Suns, they had that one game, and then you go 3-4 games inconsistent. It's kind of like 76ers remind me of that too. And so if they could put a complete game together, with or without Embiid, it seems like they were playing better without Embiid. Then they'll force a Game 7 there, but. I still got the Celtics winning that, but it's better than what good as advertised, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. One series that has not been good as advertised is the Lakers and the Rockets. At one point, the
Yeah,
Lakers were up 3-0 on this series against the Rockets. They took an overtime win in Game 3. Kevin Durant is out for the series. He's dealing with the ankle bruise. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. Rockets did salvage Game 4, so they forced a Game 5 in LA. But yeah, this series it's over. No KD. Reeves is reportedly returning. Luka's getting closer to returning. Rockets without KD is just the worst version of what they were last year. Um, and so yeah, it's disappointing. Disappointing. Rockets, who I thought should have just easily won this series, are losing. And it proves both the case of Stephen Curry. People love to acknowledge, Kevin D had 2 Finals MVP, but that's only because Curry was the one getting double teamed. We saw it in this series when he was playing. Kevin Durant, when he was double
right.
teamed, he can't get out of it. He doesn't know how to get out of a double team. Why? Because he didn't have to face one when he was with Steph Curry. And that's the reason. I mean, Kevin Durant was great in those finals, but Steph Curry was just as great. But the only reason KD won is because the stats were just a little bit better, just a little bit.
And he's and KD on the Rockets is their best shooter. I know we got Reed Shepard, but he's so young. He's not experienced enough to
And he's
to
not
be
playing the
leaning on. So
Warriors.
yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like KD. They traded Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. They made that big trade. They felt they needed this KD to get them over the hump. They end up losing to the Warriors last year in 7 games, and again, Rockets make a overhaul, right? And it's just looking like, yeah, I agree, it's not going to happen. Uh, People are saying KD's playing his last game as a Rocket, and yeah, they're just not that. After KD, it's like who's going to shoot? I know you got Sengun there, but then after that little combo there, it's like okay, Terry Eason, Jabari Smith Jr. I mean, you know what I mean? It's
Amen
just those
Thompson ain't
guys
gonna
who,
score 20
yeah,
points a game.
those are defenders. They're defensive guys. That's what carried them so far last year. Carried them this year. I mean, I took the Rockets in 6, but it looks like it's going to be maybe 4, but 4, 5 or 6 for the Lakers. I yeah, I went ahead and went against one of the goats, LeBron James, and that guy has just been playing. He's been playing pretty good. And with the role players and with his main guys out, without Luka and Austin Reeves, he's making Marcus Smart just look smart. I mean, he's playing great. Luke Kennard, we talked about before. Jackson Hayes is getting alley oops. I mean, it's just Bronny James is getting minutes.
I
So
mean, shoot,
LeBron
if Bronny James wasn't born, if Bronny
James,
wasn't born, they would have lost Game 4. No, Game 3. They would have lost Game 3 if Bronny was never born. Yeah, I mean, he's just doing it all.
he's carrying a team like he's done before, right? So I'm not surprised. I can't believe I even went against LeBron James. So should have known better.
Yeah, it's tough. I also want the Rockets, but when you have a we obviously LeBron's considered one of the
Yeah,
goats, right? But then you have another future Hall of Famer and arguably the best scorer of all time, in Kevin Durant.
yeah.
It's without, like we said, Luka and Reeves, it's kind of easy to go for the Rockets, but KD just gave up on his team once again, so it's disappointing. It's disappointing. But moving on to the next series, it's the Pistons and the Magic, and boy, inexperience this is for the Pistons. They are down 3-1 in the series. They lost yesterday 94-88. Magic are playing some good ball. Franz Wagner 19, Paulo Banchero 18, Desmond Bain 22. I mean, they're 3 guys that are performing. As for the Pistons, I mean, Kid Cunningham's doing all he can. 25 points. Tobias Harris at 20 points. And after that, just not enough consistency from everyone else. And it's going to take a lot for them to come back. I mean, it's just disappointing, right? Pistons had such a good year. Don't know if it's they're gassed out or just the inexperience, like I said. But yeah, they're down 3-1. They're going to need the veterans to step up, lead this team to a comeback. So this is the number 1 seed playing the 8th seed, and it's not often you see the 8th seed upsetting the 1 seed.
Yeah, this is the reason why they wanted Desmond Bain, why they shelled out 4 first-round picks to get him. I mean, he just played some great basketball the last 2 games to give him this 3-1 lead, and yeah, Pistons are they're pretty close to getting knocked out of the playoffs as the number 1 seed. Magic's just looking like they want it more. I don't know if you saw that dunk. drawing a blank on his name, but he dunked over Jalen Durant, and after that dunk, like, I don't know if you come back from that dunk like that. That's kind of like the hey, we're gonna take this series, and he just rose up right over Jalen Durant. I forgot his name, but it's pretty good. It was all over the place on the Instagram and social media. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, Magic, they're playing good. They're playing good, and they have role players too. Jalen Suggs. Forget who else had. I think it's Anthony Black, another guy
Anthony
they have
Black.
there. So they got it's a young team, and they're playing some good basketball at the right time.
Yeah, no, they definitely are, and they're looking to, like you said, upset the number one seed, which is like I said, it's tough for the Pistons. But as of right now, we got two games that are on. We're over the first series. It's the Hawks and the Knicks. Hawks have taken a 2-1 lead on this series. But the Knicks showed up in Game 4. They took Game 4, and now in Game 5, with 5 minutes left, Knicks are blowing out the Hawks. So Knicks are going to go up 3-2 on the Hawks. Do the Hawks have another miracle to force the Game 7? They might. They played a little better than I expected, but I think I said this series was going 6 games, and I did have the Knicks coming out. But still, I mean, if this series of the Knicks shows anything more in the playoffs, it doesn't look like they're going to go much further. With the way they're playing, I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns is doing all he's can, Brunson's doing all he's can, but after that, they just don't have enough. And talk about it. I talk about it time and time again. We talked about it over the weekend. Mikal Bridges, it's just not been a good trade that the Knicks have made. They traded, I believe, 4 picks for Mikal Bridges, and he's just been so inconsistent and not the player that they were hoping for. I know when he was in Brooklyn, it was him and Cam Johnson. He was putting about 22 to 25 points per game. Now he's like the third option here in New York, and he's just scoring 10 points per game, and it's for them. If they want to win, they need him to step up. But last year didn't happen. This year it's not happening. I just don't see it happening. So Knicks are gonna win this series, but I think if they move on, I don't know if they move on any further.
Yeah, and I have the Knicks in 7, so maybe this gets pushed out. We'll see how that goes. See if the Hawks, see if they have any backbone there and take this to a 7th game. But yeah, no, I agree. Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, those guys need to show up. Especially if they have thoughts of even competing for a finals, trophy. Those guys are going to have to play and give something, right? As we speak, Mikal Bridges has 7 points, on 3 of 6 shooting with 4 minutes left in the fourth. Of course, the game is already in control for the Knicks. But yeah, he needs to show up. Josh Hart needs to show up. Brunson's got 36. Anunoby's been playing some good basketball. Him, Towns, Brunson, that seems to be the bulk of the scoring. There's a McBride, but he didn't do anything today. McBride's he plays some good basketball too. But I'm still with the Knicks here, and hopefully those guys, if they do end up coming together, then they can make a further run in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, they're gonna need some of the role players to step up if they want to, go the distance. That's the big need that they're asking for. Other game that's currently on is the Spurs and the Trailblazers. Wemby was out game 2. He was out game 2, and he was out game 3. Um, Blazers ended up taking game 2 when he left early. And then the Spurs won game 3. Stephon Castle and oh my gosh, Dylan Harper, they showed up. De'Aaron Fox showed up in game 3. They ended up taking it. Game 4, Wemby returned, and the Spurs were down 17 points at halftime. They ended up coming back and winning game 4. They have a 3-1 lead on the series, and with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, they are currently up 61-37. I believe we said that originally it was supposed to be a 4-game. We thought it was a sweep, but now it looks like it'll be a gentleman's sweep. They're going to take it 4-1. And the Spurs, man, I'm telling you, with Wemby, man, they are a tough team to beat. They're a really tough team to beat. They got a lot of great guards. They got some good wing depth, and obviously you got the unanimous defensive player of the year and potential MVP and Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, we wrote down. Well, I wrote down sweep. I think you had mentioned maybe that hey, this is going to be a season, a series over pretty quick. Yeah, they're getting their butts kicked right now, the Trailblazers, and yeah, even without Wemby, you named those guys there: Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle. They got a lot of role players too there that just produce. And they play good basketball. So Yeah, I think this is going to be over soon. I think Denny Advia, Drew Holiday, those guys, they're a good team. I mean, they play.
They'll recoup. They're a good team. I
Yeah,
said it. They have a really young core, and then you have Damian Lillard coming back
uh,
next year. Obviously, he's coming off the Achilles injury, so we don't know how he's going to play. But you got some guys coming back, and so the future's looking bright in Portland. Just this year, it's not their year, but they do have a good young core that they're going to build around.
yeah, I agree.
But and moving on, we talked about everyone except the Raptors and the Hawks, and that's because and the Timberwolves, but we'll get to that. Raptors and the Hawks, their series is currently tied 2-2. They play tomorrow. They got a few days off for whatever reason. Cavs up 2-0 in the series. Raptors won both games in Toronto. Making could be an upset alert. I talked about it. I had the Cavs winning in 6, right? Then I saw they went up 2-0 quick, and I was like, shoot, this might be a sweep. Now it's looking like it could go 6, potentially 7. And I said that this Raptors team, no one talks about them. No one still talks about them, and they won 2 games. I've maybe seen like 2 posts on it. I mean, they are just really, really, they're just big underdogs. They have the potential to, unfortunately, ruin another season that James Harden. I'm trying to win his championship. Um, but we'll see. Tomorrow's a big game. It's back in Cleveland. So big game 5, and I think I know this sounds pretty easy, but I think whoever wins tomorrow is winning the series, and hopefully that's the Cavs because that's who I picked.
Yeah, I put down a sweep myself. Um, yeah, a little prematurely because it looks like 6, 7 games. Now that I'm looking at it, how they're playing each other, I'm changing that to 7. But it's almost like anybody could take this series. So uh, the Cavaliers they've been good for so long, especially dating back to last year. Being the number 1 seed and then losing. I want to say they lost real early in the playoffs last year. Um, but anyways, I think I think the Cavs still eventually pull it out. But I'm looking at some of the players on the Raptors: Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickly. Good players, good young players there on that squad who could may pull up an upset there, 4 or 5 seeds. So we'll see.
Yeah, and yeah, they say anything's possible. But into our last series, and now this is a series that might have had a gentleman's sweep. I mean, the Timberwolves went up 3-1 on the Nuggets. They had a big game from Ao Dosumo, who dropped 40 points, 40 plus points. But just big bad news for the Timberwolves. They lose Dante DiVincenzo. He's out for the year, Achilles injury. And Anthony Edwards, hyperextension of his knee. He is out. I believe they said 2 to 3 weeks. So the Timberwolves are without their star player and without one of their biggest role players. They ended up losing Game 5 yesterday, 125 to 113. They do still have a 3-2 series lead. Um, However, though, without DiVincenzo, I mean, like I said, they're up against. All they gotta do is pull one game out and then they advance. But it's gonna be hard. You got the Joker on the other side, Jamal Murray. The Nuggets, they're not gonna go down without a fight. But it's gonna be tough. Like I said, without some of your best players and your top scorers, it's gonna be hard to pull out that one win. They're gonna need another big game from Ao Dosumu.
Yeah, and they Timberwolves they're at home, right? They're at home. They have a 3-2 lead. Just unfortunately, these injuries, that's a pretty major. That's 28, 30 points that you're taking off the board already with Anthony Edwards. I just think it's going to be way too much to Nuggets. In my opinion, I picked them to win it all. Or to at least battle OKC there for the rights to the finals. I just think Jokic is, he's a handful. He's averaging a triple double right now, of course. And um, if the Timberwolves don't pull it out tomorrow, I think it's over for them, and they're going to end up, going home and just start thinking about what could have been.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. They look like they had an easy win against series win against the Nuggets, and now it's being flipped upside down quickly. But before we move on to MLB, we got the announced rookie of the year. It was Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag.
Nice.
And a lot of people, a little conflicted, right? We all know, um, Conkanepple, phenomenal rookie year. I mean, he was just great. He was great for the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, he, had what the most. He led the league in with most threes. He was great. And they also obviously had the better record. They were in the playing tournament, and Mavericks didn't. But Cooper Flag had to lead his team. He, with the team at the start of the year had Kyrie and then had 80 on the team. Neither of those guys played. Cooper Flag was all on his own. And he ended the year with 21 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 4.5 assists on 46, well, about 47% field goal percentage. He played great. I'm not upset with it. Some people said, oh, they should, co-win it. But the NBA doesn't do that no more. But I think Cooper, I think he was the right winner. I think, like I said, with what he had to go through, with how he played. I mean, this dude towards the end of the season was dropping 40 bombs, 50 bombs. I mean, he was just showing why he deserved to be, rookie of the year.
Yeah, he played great this year. I mean, he for a 19-year-old coming into the association with all these, goats and men and just guys with experience and putting up his numbers, putting up that type of number. I'm reading here real quick. Yeah, he averaged 21, 6.7 rebounds, joining Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Luka Doncic as the only rookies to average at least 20.6 rebounds, 4 assists since in 50 seasons since the merger. I mean, that's just phenomenal company there, right? I mean, when you have your name mixed with those guys, and that says something about your season. And I think it was, yeah, well deserved rookie of the year honor. Yeah, don't take nothing away from Concanable. This was closer than what you see just by the title there that he won, right? I mean, it looks like he had Cooper Flag was 56 first round votes. Concanable 44. It was a pretty close there, and either one probably would have been good. Concanable he had I think he set a record for what rookie 3 pointers by the Charlotte
Yeah.
Hornets or something like that, and hey, the NBA they got a lot of young up and coming players, and to know that the previous year's draft picks played this well, and Edgecombe is in the playoffs, contributing, starting for his team. I mean, it was a good draft year. You can't always say that, and blanking on whoever else made it came out, but yeah, Cooper Flag, he's the number one pick.
Yeah, no, yeah, most definitely. And like I said, he proved and showed why he was a rookie of the year. Got to see him play in person. I mean, he could do it all. Obviously, everyone can improve, but he showed great flashes in his first year. But moving on from the NBA to our MLB weekly standings. In the American League, in the AL East, Yankees, they lead their division at 19-10, but right behind them are the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 18-11. They've been a big surprise, and they're trying to win, take the division from the Yanks. In the AL Central, it is really close between almost all the teams. But the Tigers, they're out on top right now. They're 15-14. They lead. And in the AL West, the one and only Las Vegas A's
Yeah.
are leading the AL West. They've been playing good ball as of recent, although their division is pretty close itself. In the National League, Braves 20-9. They have a huge lead on everyone else in the division. We'll talk about the Mets. I'll talk about the Mets and I'll talk about the Phillies in a little bit. In the NL Central, Reds lead at 19-10, but they're followed by the Cubs, Cardinals, and the Pirates, who are all have 16 plus wins. And in the NL West, Dodgers 29, tied best record in baseball, and the Padres are 19-9, right behind them. Um, as for the Mets, they were on that big 12-game losing streak. They ended up breaking that. They had Juan Soto was out with the calf strain. He is back. However, he's just DHing because he has tight forearm, which is like I said, limited him to DHing. The Phillies manager Rob Thompson. I don't know. He's out. They fire him. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Alex Cora and his coaching staff for the Red Sox, he's also out. But yeah, Philly. It was earlier today that Rob Thompson, early Tuesday morning, was told to stop by his office. Right then and then, he knew he had lost his job. He was relieved of his duties, and they have interim. What's his name? Don Mattingly. He's named the interim manager. And so
For what team is that again?
Philly, the Phillies. Phillies,
Okay.
they're one of the worst teams in baseball. Which is a bit, a big surprise. They have a lot of power in that starting rotation. They obviously have a lot of star power in that lineup. But yeah, Phillies are struggling this year. Manager, obviously, he gets it gets taken out on him, even though I don't think that's fair. It's the players that are out there, not the manager. But yeah, so Thompson, he's out. Hopefully, Phillies could have some sort of resurrection of a year, but we'll see. More MLB news. Manny Machado, he exited out of the Padres lineup last night on Monday. He was out today, Tuesday's game. Mason Miller gave up his first run of the year, but it was very controversial. A foul ball was called fair, and that run ended up, first off, it ended up getting a base hit, and then it led to the first run being scored for the Cubs. He still ended up closing out the game, but he gave up 2 runs last night. His ERA is a little over 1. Really hurts the Cy Young chances, but I mean, it might be tough, especially when Jose Soriano has I believe, a .24 ERA. He's been unbelievable uh, for the yeah, right here. Yeah, today he pitched. He went 5 and 6 strikeouts. He did give up 3 earned runs against the White Sox. However, on the year, um, he's 5-0, the .24 ERA, 43 strikeouts. I mean, he's just been unbelievable. Um, so that is that. Not the Orioles. The Guardians, they call up former number 1 overall pick Travis Bazzana. He gets called up to the show, and he was playing earlier today. Trey Savage, he's been coming back. He's come back from injury, and he just shut down the Red Sox. Obviously the star pitcher for the Blue Jays in the playoffs and in the World Series last season. He's been showing up and getting stuff down with it. But before we end off the episode, it's race week in Formula One. It is the Miami Grand Prix. There is a race, there is a sprint, and there is special liveries. Cadillac, American team, they unveiled a special livery for the race this weekend. Honestly, thought it should have a little more red, white, and blue. However, it's a clean look. The car is black and white. They have the flag like on the sides and on the front. They also have the red, white, and blue on their back. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on it right now. On their black back, not tail, but wing, on their back wing, they have the red, white, and blue. So it's finally race week. Looking forward to that. Not much news other than that in the Formula One world, but yeah, racing in Miami this week should be a fun one. Should be good. And yeah, after a 5-week break, Formula One is back, so that is good. But that is all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my co-host, my uncle, for joining me today. Don't forget, we get episodes out on YouTube and Spotify every Wednesday. We get posts out on Instagram and TikTok. And until next time, stay ready.